Welcome to the FIA Formula 2 Championship. The sprint race is about to get underway here in Spielberg, Austria. And after a dramatic qualifying, John Bennett and Joshua Durskin line up 1-2 on the grid for the sprint.
Leo Fauna taking the Aramco.
It's worse than ever, the trackside audio. We apologise we can't bring that to you. Welcome to Formula 2 and the sprint race here at the Red Bull Ring in Spielberg, Austria. Fingers crossed it's going to be an absolutely fantastic event. Alongside me in the commentary boxes, Richie, Omi and Tom as well, around the highest circuit on the F2 calendar in terms of altitude, 4.326 as well, gearing up 63.4 metre elevation change from turn 1 uphill in towards turn number 3 at Remus. Omi, it's a fantastic place to race and it always gives us some cracking racing in Formula 2. Welcome.
Temperatures are rising, and I'm sure the...
Yeah, I'm just trying to
usually get some extraordinary Formula 2 racing around this place. Would be nice to hear the Formula 2 engines roar around this Spielberg circuit, but yeah, due to the issues that we've been having on form side, it's not been going our way. But it definitely did go Josh Bennett's way, considering him managing to get to 10th, and it puts him on reverse grid pole for this race.
I've got a basic solution because I've got it the best I can. For some reason, they can't make it work, so I don't know what's going on. I've got the best I can get for trackside audio by flicking things around. Tom, F2 time, and it's going to be great because we've got 45 minutes ahead of us, and they've got to just get it right straight off the bounce.
Yep, and the starts are going to play a huge role in this one. John Bennett, who has yet to score points so far this season, has a chance to change just that from reverse grid pole for this F2 sprint race here. Let's see what Dirksen can do alongside, because he hasn't had the best of form since his victory in Australia. The fans continuing to pour in more and more umbrellas are out, not for the rain, but because of the gorgeous sunshine that's hanging over these Surrey Mountains as they look to keep themselves cool, as if it's very hot over there. But time to run down on the starting grid for today's Formula 2 sprint race.
From back to front then as well, Clan Shields will start in 22nd position. Dino Boganovic will line up in 21st after his run in a Ferrari earlier on in the season. Rafael Villagomez lines up in 20th with Max Esterson in 19th. Kushmini takes 18th alongside Luke Browning. A poor qualifying from him, out of position in both of these races this weekend as well. Expect a fight back for him alongside as well Ollie Goethe and Arvid Lindblad, 16th and 15th as well, caught out. Sami Megatuniv in 13th alongside Rito Miata, and Sebastian Montoya lines up 11th on the grid, just missing out as well on a reverse grid pole position. The Prema is going to be right in the mix as well. Pole sitter tomorrow, Leonardo Forlaroli lines up in 10th. He's alongside Victor Martins in 9th. Richard Verschoor starts 8th alongside Gabriel Mini in P7. Into the top 6 with Emil Cordial and Jose Maria Marti in 5th. Roman Stanak is 4th with Alexander Dunn in 3rd. And how on earth have we got the front row? Joshua Durskin once more, but for the first time, John Bennett lines up on pole position as we're going to get ready for the start procedure to get underway shortly. Well, Richie's back with us as well for this one. Hello, mate, and we're going to be in for a great race. What are you expecting?
I mean, chaos for a start, but Austria, I love it because it's one of those tracks where qualifying, because of how clinical it is and how small the gaps are, you do get some surprises. So, I mean, we've got the likes of on the qualifying order, we've got Emil Cordial in the top 5, John Bennett in the top 10, and then the likes of Jack Crawford in 15th, and then Luke Brandon down in P17.
think Rita Miyata might have stalled the car. In fact, quite a couple of them have actually on the grid as well. So they've all got going now. We take a look back to Crawford. Yeah, Crawford stuck, and this is like 2003 all over again. Where that line is, the checker flag finish line, that used to be the start line for Formula One. They moved it forward after we returned here in 2003, and stalled on the grid is Jack Crawford, Omi.
That hurts. That has to hurt for the American driver, who's been a winner 3 times before in the FIA Formula 2 Championship. John Bennett's going to try and do that for the first time, though, in his career. Let's see whether he's going to be able to do it. The driver who was, of course, the runner-up in GB3 last year.
Away they go then. It's just a short lap here that if we have stallers on the line, the safety car would naturally come out immediately. Possibly even the red flags, because it's an old style circuit, this one, in terms of having to open up the pit wall and bring them inside. In fact, it's a rule in Sao Paulo that if there's a staller on the grid, we have to red flag the race because it's so tight. Let's listen to the top 3. Oh, I've just realised we can't. I'll try my best, hang on a minute. Because the lead's in the wrong position.
I've actually never done a race here before. So, to have my first race at the Red Bull Ring, starting pole in F2 is quite cool. And yeah, I'll just try and keep that lead into turn 1 and then yeah, maintain that.
So a big task ahead for John Bennett.
Yeah, for some reason they're coming through in mono. I have no idea why. Like, if I show you, like, there's more. Yeah, there's more mono. So there's clearly a system error at FOM in their commentary system where it's just not tuned correctly, because we have a dial in the commentary box that can either make us go, I'll give you an example, left side only, or, and what theirs is set to is like this. So it's more on the left side than it is on the right side. So they need to sort of get their adjusters to the centre like us, and then we can get going again. But even when the car's rev, we should be okay to get going, and hopefully they fix it for Silverstone. I know, Tom, you're actually at Biggin Hill for that, so you can go and give them a walloping from us as well. I mean, it must be so annoying. It must be, yeah. Tom, imagine if people watching this in surround sound like they do. They must be so confused that there's just an angry couple of two blokes shouting at them in the corner.
I know.
Go smash up the commentary box.
Well, the good thing is they'll all be trackside, so that might be better. Here we go then. Time for the F2 sprint race here in Spielberg, Austria. Lights are on. All 5 lights win. There'll be a pause of up to 3 seconds. Lights out, we're racing, slow getaway from everybody on the right-hand side of the grid. Perfect getaway for Joshua Durtskin. He'll lead into turn 1. Coming up on the outside, Alexander Dunn as well. Into the braking zone for turn 1. And look at what happened. John Bennett forced off the circuit, losing 4 places. He's down to 5th as they come out towards turn 3 at Remus. Crawford's left the pit lane. It's still side by side with Richard Verschoor as well coming in the braking zone. He's in a battle with Gabriel Mini. Through we go. Durtskin leads. Stanek in second, Marty in third, having a battle as well. But, well, that was just a poor start, Omi, from everybody on the right-hand side of the grid. They all just didn't get going.
Yeah, there was a poor start for Bennett, and Dunn was affected with that one, and he's trying to fight back with Verschoor now. He's going to try dive down the inside. Stanek and Marty were battling hard for second place, but it's Marty who's got it for the moment.
And Montoya getting forced wide, coming into Sochi's gold as well. He's lost about 4 places on the start as well, Tom.
Yeah, and he's got bogged down at the start as well, did Montoya. See more drivers as Martin runs wide through the gravel on the approach to turn 7. He remains in front of his ART teammate. That could have been disastrous consequences for the pair of them, but it seems to be a relatively clean start despite many drivers running off the circuit at turn 3. And we'll get a replay of the race start in due course, but so far, no major dramas across the grid.
Yeah, Leonardo Foloroni getting a big snap as well, Rich, as they come over the line to complete that one. They've all made it through cleanly, and now they're going to be waiting for that DRS and finding for the slipstream.
Indeed, and we could possibly have a move here up towards turn 1. One of the Red Bull juniors up the inside. I think that's Arvid Lindblad looking to make a move up the inside at turn 1. That's not normally a place you go for a move, and unfortunately couldn't get that one covered off, and now is under a bit of pressure as they head their way up to the braking zone. A turn 3 at the hairpin, a hot spot for overtaking around here.
Late on the brakes, that's going to be contact, and there is a big one there! Car upside down, so red flags out. 3 cars upside down. The race is suspended. And Arvin Lindblad involved. 4 cars, 2 upside down. One's now corrected themselves, but a car still hanging upside down. I think it's Crawford, Shields, Villagomez and Esterson. They've dropped to the back, and understandably, immediately, the red flags are out to stop that race. That was a big one, Omi.
Yeah, that is not what we wanted to see at all. A huge accident, and it was a pinch point, kind of like what we saw in a few years ago in 2020, Charles Leclerc and Sebastian Vettel, where we saw the Ferrari go in the air momentarily, similar to that one, but it went upside down. Let's hear from Browning.
Nothing coming through. Yeah, nothing coming through on the audio there from Luke Browning. So the race is suspended. The cars will return to the pit lane, and we will have a restart in due course. Now, the car that's over, it is one of the Tridents, and I did see them moving in the cockpit, so that is good news. I can tell that because we cut to the onboard and we saw him moving around, so that's okay. So who hasn't gone through that sector? Sami Megatunif is missing. So we'll wait to see as they all come through the pit lane now to change through. I think it's Lindblad, Megatunif, Esterson and Crawford who have dropped down on our timing screens. I'm okay. And Sami Megatunif is upside down. Big accident. And that's what I was on about earlier on. In the weekend as well, Tom, about how the Constantino affected turn 3. It's just too much, and you can get rollovers there.
Yeah, you saw that yellow sausage curb on the inside of turn 3. That's what's contributed to the Trident rolling over. We'll get a replay to find out what exactly contributed to that, because it was 3 wide on the approach to Remus, and it would have been the Trident that got barrel rolled over thanks to that yellow sausage curb, which I think may have to be reconsidered for future reference, because we never like seeing cars barrel rolling like that. We have seen many accidents over the years, not to mention the one involving Keidfeld and Kim Starso all those years back. Yeah, it was a wild shunt.
Yeah, Wirtz, of course, and Schumacher back in 1997, the first race weekend here. There was contact back in the A1 ring days. And, well, MotoGP reference, Rossi, Morbidelli and all those, and Vinales, all those accidents they had here, which resulted in the 2A and 2B chicane. But that, Richie, it looks like it was because of the sausage curb, as Tom says, but it's Browning, Lindblad, Megatunif, Esterton and Crawford who are, and Crawford's actually retired from the race. He hasn't even started this one. So it's Browning downwards who are out.
I mean, those sausage curbs, they are lethal. No matter what track it is, they are a really lethal part of the circuit, and of course you could see there it launched obviously Megatunif's car into the air, and he rolled I think 3 times in the end. He rolled over both cars, and luckily of course with the the safety equipment and the way the cars are made nowadays, luckily he's okay, which is great. But I mean, go back 10 years, that would have been a completely different story.
Horrific accident, and well, Omi, this means that you get to take over quite smoothly in the broadcast, doesn't it? As we get ready for the red flags to come through. So we'll wait for a replay, and then we'll hand down to the world feed with Alex Bundle and Chris McCarthy to take a look at what's happening. But let's head down now and get a regroup.
Potential false start during the start process, moving before the start signal. So that's the road-in driver. He finds himself 8th after all of that, challenged around the outside, and had to commit to the runoff area on that opening lap. So tried to make places, Alex done. Unfortunately, fell back through the field 1 place, but Crawford then, of course, who didn't get off the line, should the race restart, will be in a different position to the position Sebastian Montoya was in Monaco, because racing order has been established. So it'll be interesting to see what the stewards do with him, but I believe Jack Crawford will not return to his grid position and will resume from the rear.
Well, yeah, he's down as retired, so we'll see. I think that's his day possibly done, unless he just rejoins a lap or so down and treats it as a test session. But
yeah, he's retired on the timing screen as well, so he never actually joined the race from the pit lane, as was his right. But in the circumstances, it seems like they couldn't get the car re-fired up. It was a decent start to the race for Pepe Marti, who launched through to 2nd position on the road.
Yeah, it was. He has got a big opportunity this weekend with how qualifying fell. Pepe Marti, the Red Bull Junior, of course, has got a great opportunity to move himself up the standings and close the gap to the top 6. There's around a 17-point gap between himself and the top 6 in the championship. 3 of those top 6 made the top 10, which reverse, and 3 of those did not, and one of those top 6 has retired from the race. It appears, from what we're seeing on the timing screen, did not get out of the pit lane, and there we can see they are still investigating exactly what happened with Jack Crawford, who did not get moving off the line, the Dams Lucas Oil team. So big opportunity for Pepe Marti. Joshua Dirksen made a great launch, got away and established a gap.
Presumably Dams there will have a relatively immediate discussion about whether Jack Crawford could rejoin the race with the organisers, whether it's worthwhile to do so now with obviously a lap on the board. He would be a lap down. There is Leonardo Fornaroli, scored a fabulous pole position yesterday and found himself 7th on the road. To give you a feel for what's happening now, the race is suspended. Very little can be done to the cars. They can change the radiator ducts, change for driver cooling, change the wheels and tyres if they want to, but they will not at this stage, with most of the race distance still remaining to be done. This race, of course, sits in a relatively tight slot, the feature race between F1, FP3 and qualifying, of course, which take precedence normally over the Formula 2 action. If the race is shortened as a result of the red flag, there's a sliding scale of points that are delivered, depending on if 25%, 50% or 75% of the suspended race distance are achieved. So that depends on how far they get. They'll obviously aim, if they possibly can, to get the full race distance away within the time available.
Yeah, and we'll keep you posted on that in terms of if we fall into a different column of points. But let's look back at the start, Alex.
Yeah, let's take a look, Omid. Over to you.
Yeah, absolutely. So Bennett slow away. That means that Dunn is compromised quite a bit off that race start as well. So it meant that everyone had to take a warning action further back. Cordeal also was very close to making contact with Dunn. Bennett went backwards. Bennett goes around the outside of Cordeal, then he attempts to, and that's going to mean that his momentum is going to see him run off the road. So that's what took place on the opening lap with him as they now approach to Remus.
And then this is going to be the Constantino of Montoya gets forced out wide as well, and off the track also went Lindblad, and that's why he lost a couple of places. But again, Kushmani, just Tom, how much you take avoiding action there from Jose Maria Marti?
Yeah, and a lot of them went wide at turn 3. This is going to be Alex Dunn's on board. He moves before the light. Right. He definitely moved before the lights, yeah. So that'll be a penalty coming Dunn's way, unfortunately. And there goes the field past him, and he got boxed in behind Bennett, and the car's going to his right, so he couldn't go any further really. So Dunn's lost out big time. This is Marty going to the inside of Stanek into turn 2, and Stanek having to go wide to avoid a collision there. I wonder if the stewards may take some action to that. This is Lindblad further back. This is over at turn 4. This would have been on the first lap to the inside of the Trident. Someone knocks up further ahead. I think that must be, who's that? Is that Luke Browning who was locked up ahead? I think it was. So Lindblad, who is looking to the outside, really good move there from Lindblad through turn 6, which is not the easiest place to overtake Dunn at, although you see the kick of dust from Martin further up front, hence why Browning got back in front before the lap was out.
Yeah, we haven't yet seen a replay, Richie, of that turn 3 accident as well. We'll wait for that until we know that everyone is okay at the scene. As we're now watching, mate. The oil has come through, and at least all cars are now rectified. All drivers are out, and everyone looks to be receiving the best care possible. But that's a lot of oil to be dropped right on the racing line.
It is. That's going to require a lot of work to be done. Of course, they've got to be conscious of the F1 qualifying later on, so that's going to take a while. that could mean the race could get reduced or possibly not continue. So, of course, the FIA will be monitoring that over these next few minutes. But, of course, the great thing is, above everything, that everybody is okay, because that was quite a scary one. I think if anyone was looking at the cameras, I had my hands over my mouth thinking, what have I just seen? Because it was insanity. But luckily, Megatuni, Lindblad, all those were okay, and well, they've got to prepare for tomorrow, and then maybe not go 3 wide at Remus.
That would be an option. Right, let's take a look at it, Richie. Talk us through it.
So, as they head their way up towards the braking zone, let's see. So it's going to be Megatuni up the inside, and he doesn't actually clip the sausage curb. It was the rear right of Lindblad's car, launched him up into the air, and then, of course, game over. Let's have a look on board of Lindblad. So up towards turn 3, Lindblad's going for a move on what seems to be Browning, I believe, and he just flies over. That is a really, really weird one, and it's a moment where gravity just defies the odds of existence.
Omi, Halo. If it wasn't for the Halo, I think we could have just lost 2 drivers. That was right over the air. It was right over both drivers, and that without the Halo, that would have been a big one.
Yeah, that would have been big as well. So thank God, as per normal, due to the Halo. So a huge thanks to that and the introduction of that playing critical. And as I mentioned, I described it being kind of like what we saw with Leclerc and Vettel all those years ago when those two collided. But the only thing that was missing was the barrel roll in that instance. But it kind of goes over the top of Lindblad's car, but then there's more cars there, of course, as well, with Browning, which he then goes over. So yeah, just a huge accident and a horrible sight down at Remus.
Yeah, actually, Tom, 3 drivers could have been killed there as well if it wasn't for the Halo. Lindblad, Megatuniv, and Max Esterson. They could have all been killed there.
Yeah.
You squeezed me under braking like crazy.
Sammy, I know you just got upside down, but you were going for a gap that was ever decreasing. There's nothing that that's on you, I feel. But yeah, Tom, that was very big, and everyone's out of the car okay. But the Halo, they're saving 3 lives. We can't really deny anymore that this Halo is one of the greatest inventions in motorsport history.
And remember all the skepticism we had before a Halo had even been fitted to the to any form of car. Yeah, well, I think those people will be eating their own words now, don't you think? If not some time ago. But yeah, thankfully, all Megatuniv, Lindblad, and Browning all out of the cars and safe and sound. And yeah, that could have been a different story. You had it not been for the Halo being there, which would have brought the sport to its knees, really. But thankfully, that Halo's done a superb job in maintaining the drivers. Arthur Lindblad out of the race, unfortunately, but he'll be relieved that he's still alive, basically, because that car did fly over him massively. And I'm just conscious of how Luke Browning must be feeling after that, because that must have given him the biggest fright he'd had for a long time.
Rich, you want to bring on you, because we've talked about this before. Before the Halo, it was very rare we saw accidents where we said, "Oh, that could have killed someone. That could have been a thing." Ever since the Halo's come in, we're seeing more and more accidents where we go, "Well, thank God the Halo's there," because they are accidents where they could have killed the driver. Are drivers going too fast? It sounds weird, but are they taking more risks knowing they've got this protection? Because since 2018, we've seen so many accidents where we've said, okay, thank God for the Halo, he would have been killed there. But we didn't say that between, what was it, 1994 and 2014. It's insane.
It's an odd one. I don't think they're thinking, right, we've got protection, let's go and just go for a move and hope it works. I think it's more the fact that they know that they can race side by side more, they can go for sense because they're not going to be at risk of death like they, obviously there always is a risk of death, but not like it was before. And it's an odd one. And I think another thing to mention is nowadays cars, they are quicker.
Yeah.
The drivers, they know how to drive quicker, so that just adds into that risk, and it's going to happen, isn't it, nowadays? And you've got to remember as well, I think, more than ever, social media is a big factor in drivers who are younger, like these F2 drivers. They want to win more than they ever have done, because they've got so much pressure on them. The likes of Albert Marco in Red Bull and other, big figures in motorsport. They put this pressure onto drivers, so they've got to go for these moves and make 2 places. If they don't, then they're down in P17 instead of P15. And that, at the end of a race, can make a big difference because they can now move forward. So there's so many different elements into why more crashes are happening, which are more, lethal.
So order for the restart is the 20, 3, 2, 16, 24, 6, 1, 17, 10, 14, 15, 9, 8, 5, 12, 23, 25, 21, 11, which means that Jack Crawford, Omi, can restart this race.
Yep, absolutely. He is allowed to restart it, and he'll be able to get back going in our sprint contest. A sprint contest which 2 years ago was won around this circuit by Jack Crawford as well, as Luke Browning has now left, looking on as well at the moment.
Wes has just pointed out as well, Tom, even with the halo, the top of Megatunis roll bar got within inches of Browning's head. I did notice that. The rollover hoop went inside the cockpit. That is the most dangerous. We got very lucky there as well.
Yeah. So, yeah, thank you for pointing that out there, Wes. Yeah, that could have been very nasty, because I did see a bit of something go inside the halo, the top of the halo where Browning would have been sat at, and that could have been very, very nasty. You know, even with the halo, it doesn't guarantee that a driver is going to be safe and sound. You know, it just reduces the chances of a driver being hit by another car when it's going over the top of it. Just to correct maybe a little bit, JB, on a particular incident at the Red Bull Ring at that corner, you mentioned 97 and said Wirtz and Schumacher. Did you mean Alesi and Irvine?
Oh, was it not Wirtz? Oh, I'm thinking
no.
of Coulthard and Wirtz. Yeah, it was Alesi and Irvine. Yes, that's what I'm on about.
Yeah.
When they went over the back, was it Irvine shut the door on it as well? And, not the greatest event, was it? Down at turn 3. No. Well, then it was turn 2. But yeah, Wirtz, of course, and Coulthard in Melbourne. They had that scary on board. Where Coulthard went straight over the top. But Wirtz had a couple of ones, didn't he? Coulthard had a bad time in Australia in his Red Bull days.
I think Fisichella had a similar incident in 2008 at the start, where he went over. I can't remember who it was he went over. Was it Anthony Davidson he went over at the beginning?
I think it was, yeah. Because Massa, I just remember Massa going into the wall under his own power. Yeah, still haven't got a time for a restart. I will if we get to 45 and we haven't got a restart time, it'll be 10 minutes anyway. So we'll get to 45 and I'll hand over to Omi. Omi will take you through the restart of this race. As my notes are falling off my commentary box wall.
Nice.
Because I've got the fan on. It's got so hot in the commentary box I've had to bring the fan down.
Right.
Which is very nice. So I'm trying to get the microphone to sort of get in position with the fans because I'm off headset, cooling down. Right, so Omi will lead you through the restart alongside Richie and Tom. We'll get that sorted. Once we get the restart time, we'll transfer over, as I'll have to go to MotoGP. So it's typical, isn't it, Omi? Back for F2, and we thought, oh, we'll get everything by the last couple of laps. Maybe we'll get lucky, and I'll be able to call the end of the race before I have to go to MotoGP. And then, you know, Sammy Megatunov comes barrel rolling in, and we don't get to do that.
Just to correct you, JB, it was Timo Glock that went into Fisichella in Melbourne in 2008. Yeah. It was right at the back of the field, but then Bourdais, who was like the innocent bystander and all that, was lucky to continue.
Bourdais left mid-season, of course, didn't he?
In 2009, yeah.
Replaced by
Jaime Alguersuari.
Yeah, because it was the two Sebastians, Buemi and Bourdais at the team as well, both spelled differently, however, Sebastian. And Buemi, now, of course, a race winner in Formula E this season, winning in Monaco on the streets for the first time in 3 or 4 seasons. Not bad for him.
I think I was with you for that, wasn't I?
I think you were in Monaco, yeah. All blurs into one, doesn't it, as well? So, I may as well do a lot of talking because I'm going to be disappearing. So, it kind of makes sense to keep talking. Let's have some words.
Yeah, so far we've been quite consistent, apart from Imola mainly. And I think that's also the reason why we are quite high up. As you said, it's very long still, so we have a lot of rounds to go. But to be fair, a lot of tracks coming up which I really like, and also the team I think is performing really well at. So I think we'll just keep focusing race by race, keep doing our job as we have been doing now, and see how we get on.
Richard Verschoor, currently part of this 6-way fight for the championship, but that could easily be extended. It's been quite the season so far, hasn't it, Alex? You know, it's been very wide open. 21 points between the top 6 coming in, more drivers in chase. 6 pole sitters in 6 rounds. Very hard to predict.
We haven't had a Formula 2 round without a change for the championship lead.
No.
Either.
No.
It was an extreme situation in the Formula 2 championship. Great drivers in that series this year. Leonardo Fornaroli making his way through after victory. In Formula 3, we've got several different young driver academies represented. Williams in the shape of Luke Browning, of course. Arvid Lindblad now granted a super license and looking on the fringes for any potential to find himself in a Red Bull car, as he will for FP1 in Silverstone. Of course, Alec Dustin representing McLaren, Dino Beganovic, the Ferrari Junior, Gabriele Mini for Alpine. It's great to see these teams reaching down into the lower formula and below this into Formula 3, supporting these young talents.
Yeah, there's so many. We've got over 20 across Formula 3 and Formula 2, and there's just one of them, Alex Dunn, the McLaren back driver. It's more than ever, I think the Formula 1 teams are looking down on Formula 3 and Formula 2 as the real pathway into Formula 1 and supporting drivers from the very first stage.
Well, it's a long walk up there. 63 meters of elevation change.
You say that as if you've done that exact walk multiple times. How is it driving around this circuit?
We took a golf buggy up there, and
Did it make it?
Sort of, yeah. It kind of ran out of steam halfway up. So a great vantage point there, just on the inside there of turn 3, and you have to just you have to duck that camera boom every time it goes through. But as long as you've got that down, you get a great view of the cars launching over.
Okay, well, there's the confirmation then. The race will resume at 2:52 local time. So we'll hand over to Omi at the scheduled time in about 9 minutes, and we'll get going again. And I think, Omi, that's going to be the best thing to get this race restarted, and it will be significantly reduced in 28 laps. Surely we can't run the whole distance.
Yeah, it's important to make sure that we can get some running at least. We already had in Australia a feature race that was cancelled and wasn't rescheduled as well earlier this year. So yeah, very important that we do get running where possible, and we will absolutely try our best to get as many laps in. But yeah, definitely don't think it will be the 28.
I'm thinking at least 18. Tom, what about you?
Yeah, I would say so. It'll be a timed race, so I would reckon that they'll go. We could essentially see drivers getting their elbows out because of being a reduced distance sprint race compared to normal. So I'm looking forward to this restart, but hopefully we can get through this without any more interventions.
And Richie, with it now being a timed event, the pressure's off for fuel mileage, the pressure's off for tyres, it's just all goes straight away.
Push, 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 and that's what we want from our junior drivers. See what they can do under these high pressure moments. Of course, those at the front have to be a lot more wary. Of course, for our race leaders, normally give it 5 or 6 laps, things settle down, they calm. But now it's just going to be every lap constant attack from the cars behind. So it should make for quite an interesting race. And I think another thing to add on is the fact that Austria, in my opinion, is still one of the best circuits for motorsport on a whole for side-by-side action, because pretty much every corner you can go side-by-side.
Yeah, it's one of the best on the kind. It's one of my favourites alongside Montreal and Silverstone, and of course the regulars of Spa. I'm not a fan of Monza, it doesn't have a great review. Okay, well, let's head back to the World Feed with Alex Brundle, and we'll get Omi prepared to switch over.
A little bit of movement before anyone else for Alex Dunn. Bennett really suffered on the start there, moving back through. The launch that Dirksen got out of the second phase, the traction zone of turn 1, was outstanding there. And then a little bit of side-by-side stuff down towards turn 3. Dunn tries to use that grippier outside line and is just forced to take to the runoff area, trying to make the move. You've got Stanek side-by-side there with Pepe Marti down towards turn 4. And that's what you get with these. Listen to it again. Yeah, he's definitely moved there, hasn't he?
Yeah,
for me,
I'd say so.
Before the lights have gone out. When everything shakes out, it could well be a penalty, unfortunately, for Alex Dunn.
More likely to come once this is all once we've got back going again. Good start from Emery.
Okay, so at this point, I'm going to send Richie and Tom to the F2 commentary box. So we'll see you chaps in a second, ready for cameras, and we'll send Omi over as well, and I'll text him when we're set. So thanks, guys, and I'll see you later on.
Get around the outside of that sausage curve if they possibly can. Because obviously they don't want to damage anything on the floor. For later on in the race, this was the mega start. Initially a good launch, and then brave stuff down towards turn 3 for Pepe Marti. They have to run the brake ducts relatively open here, because later on in the race you tend to overheat the brakes because of these routine big stops. So it becomes a confidence game of who has the most brake temperature when they make their way down towards turn 3. Ooh, a little bit of a bog down for Richard for sure, who gets away. An imperfect start. You can see there, Dunn comes into our focus ahead. These two, of course, battling for the championship this season. Richard Shaw actually finds a lovely line down towards turn 1 and continues to make his way. And then he's going to get a grandstand seat of Dunn heading to the outside and having to jump then wide over the escape road to avoid the defence of John Bennett.
And then Alex Dunn just rejoining ahead, and Richard for sure, this is the moment. He's right on the back of the driver, currently 3 points ahead of him in the championship, and goes to the outside. Brave stuff that on the first lap of the race from Richard Bashaw, and goes around the outside of Alex Dunn. That was a great move from him.
Here's how it looks for Arvid Lindblad, the driver who took his first feature race win of the year in Barcelona. And it's a big old wrestle, isn't it? Over that first curve, losing a place to the outside. Now we're choosing slipstreams from a menu of slipstreams up towards turn 3. You try and pick the most cars in a row if you possibly can, while simultaneously placing your car the best you can. He had to really avoid competitor's stage left there, didn't he, Arvid Lindblad? And he's looking in his left-hand mirror now, thinking, where did he come from? I need to try to keep out of the way of that lunge. Wow, deep down into turn 4. Got a bit of brake temperature now. Climbing all over.
Okay, well at this point we're going to hand over to one.
And you should now be joining us here on JB Motorsport as we continue the Formula 2 coverage, and we get ready in a few moments' time to get ready to now be joining racing. And I can just see that we have transferred over absolutely perfectly. Okay, brilliant stuff. We are all getting set and ready to resume this race in a few moments. And if we come over to the camera screen, as you can see, I'm still up here along with Tom and Richie. And Tom, well, the race will resume behind the safety car.
Yeah, and it doesn't look like Jack Crawford is going to resume this one, even though he would be allowed to. It feels like there's a problem, as Gabriel Milley's on the radio saying that there'll be 2 laps before the safety car peels in and there'll be a rolling start. So it's not going to be a standing start, which is understandable because we are running out of time to get this race completed. And it will beg the question, how many laps will we get? Because that could determine how many points get thrown out by the end of this.
Yeah, and Richie, it's already a race that doesn't award many points anyway due to it being a sprint contest. So quite interesting to see what it will be overall. But I think a rolling start is quite sensible considering what we've had so far and usually how Formula 2 starts have been this year.
I mean, I would have rather had a standing start, but they've got to make sure that the race can actually get underway without another red flag. So a rolling start is definitely the most safer option. Of course, just gives us a less chance of having red flags and safety cars once again on the opening couple of laps. But so if we had any confirmation on how long the race will be, because it still says 3 out of 28 laps have been completed.
I think we're still waiting for confirmation on how much it will be and more information on that. But just to confirm to you, Dirksen will be leading Pepe Marti off the line. Those will be the top 2 when we do get the rolling start underway. It will basically be a safety car restart as we usually have. We'll have 2 laps and then we'll be able to get going for the FIA Formula 2 sprint contest. It is the halfway mark as well. I think it is important to mention of the 2025 season. We are approaching. Here it is round 7. We have 14 rounds in total, and and we, of course, as I mentioned earlier on, had the cancellation in Australia. So it's important, Tom, to be able to get all the running in that we can as well this season, in case we do get further cancellations. And with it being a support event, there will be chances, there will be, some opportunities even, where we have lots of races being cancelled and unfortunately also even being delayed, whether it's weather or no matter what it is. With it being tight schedules with so many different series on, we can often expect something like this.
Yeah, and we saw it at Spa last year, if you remember, where that race didn't happen, unfortunately, because of they ran out of daylight and it was becoming increasingly darker for the drivers to see. So it was a visibility issue, and there is even a possibility of that happening, wherever we go to, particularly at like Silverstone or Spa or Hungary or Monza. They've got to make sure that they get a reasonable number of races done to make sure that the integrity of this championship remains. Max Verstappen has just been allowed to head onto the circuit to get back on the lead lap because he was a lap behind when the red flag came out. So he has an opportunity to get back on the lead lap and head back to the pit lane and join the rear of the queue.
He does indeed. Richie, of course, this is the first time you're joining us in a couple of rounds. So I'd love to get your thought on some of the things that we've had in Formula 2. And to be fair, I think we've had quite a bit. If we even go back to the Monaco start that we had as well in the feature race. So yeah, you've not been with us for a while in this category. So what have you made of the championship over the last few rounds?
I mean, it's been a chaotic one. I'd love to watch more Formula 2, but unfortunately my Saturdays and Sundays get taken up quite a lot, apart from the Formula 1. So I tend to catch a lot of highlights on YouTube and clips on Twitter, and every time it's an F2 and F3 weekend, there's always something that catches my eye posted on Twitter. So yeah, it seems to be quite an interesting championship, and of course it's always great to have new drivers new drivers fighting for the title, but then also see what some of those who are normally near the back, see what they can do in their second and possibly third season. So I think there's always something to kind of watching Formula 2, and I think that I'll bring, and it relates a little bit to football, is sometimes the second division, which in football is the championship, can be more entertaining than the Premier League / the first division or the Formula 1.
Yeah, this is of course a spec series, meaning the action will always be a little bit more than Formula 1 with the machinery that the drivers have. Also promoted with the format that we hold, with a sprint race and the reverse grid as well. So we are about to now find ourselves leaving behind the safety car. As you can see, everyone turning yellow on our timing board. Dirksen, Marty and Roman Stanek. Great opportunity for those drivers, and especially Dirksen, who, Tom, we've talked about quite a few times this weekend. He had a great start to the season, winning, of course, the Australia feature race. He was battling for the win also in the Bahrain sprint, but had that taken away from him, and it was actually won by Pepe Marti due to a late safety car. So he's not been able to get any momentum going since. Today is a huge opportunity if he can just try and control this one, and he has proven it before. If he can control a sprint from the start, he has a good chance to win it by the end.
Yeah, well, Dirksen has gotten away. Well, not so for Kushmini. He's just been pushed out of the fast lane by his Dams crew. There's something going on with that car. It's a miserable day for Dams with Crawford not starting. Miney should be able to rejoin here, although the Dams crew don't look optimistic by the looks of their faces. So that is another body blow to the team. But Dirksen, can he get his second sprint win? We'll wait and see. We're still waiting to know how many laps or how much time we've got. There we go. So we've got just under 34 minutes remaining of this race. So when the clock reaches 0, whatever the next time the leader crosses over the line, there'll be one more lap.
Yeah, and Richie, I think that is a fair distance, to be fair. We usually hold a 45-minute Formula 2 sprint race if it goes to time. Around 30-ish minutes when we properly get underway. Quite good.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's going to get us quite a few laps, so I'm not going to do the maths. Can one of you do the math?
Tom,
I'll do the best I can for you. Yeah, I'll do it for you if you want.
What, 13,
I've got the time in
laps-ish?
Well, we're currently on lap 3 at the moment, so they're heading over the line. They will do one more lap onto the safety car, and it'll be a rolling start. I think by the time we get this race underway, it'll be around about 31 minutes on the clock. Now, the lap times we've been seeing throughout the weekend in terms of qualifying is like 1 minute 16, 1 minute 17. So we expect times around about 1 minute 20, 1 minute 21, considering that they're heavier on fuel. So I'd be tempted to say, given that we've got 25 laps of this race to go, you're probably looking at around about 32 minutes of a race. So we are going to get close to the 28 laps. So we will get more than 75% of the race distance completed. So it will be full points, providing we don't get any more interventions.
Well, fingers crossed. We don't have any more safety cars or red flags. I mean, we can't promise that in F2. In F1, you can pretty much say there won't be another one because there normally isn't. But here, completely different story.
Yeah, kind of follows the IndyCar route of safety cars breed safety cars as well. For any of our viewers from that, you'll absolutely understand that phrase as well. And they make their way through at the back of the field through Remus. You've got one AIX running all the way at the back. You've got one at the front. And there should be, the end of this lap, we should be able to get back to the green flags. Dirksen is going to be chasing a victory once again in Formula 2. Pepe Marti, of course, won, as I mentioned, the Bahrain sprint race, and Roman Stanek was a winner last year in Formula 2. That was in Australia as well, when Isaac Hadjar was given a penalty that day. And then we've got Cordial running in fourth. A big opportunity for Amri Cordial as well, who's got an opportunity in both races this weekend, and it's John Bennett, the driver, trying to get his first point in this season. He'll try and achieve that, but let's see whether he's going to be able to do it. We're about to get to the green flags once again in Formula 2, and after a long red flag, it is time for the Paraguayan driver Joshua Dirksen, who's going to lead us down into turn number 9 and turn number 10, and he will make his way out of the final corner, get his foot down, and we will go racing in the FIA Formula 2 Championship once again. That's a great restart for Dirksen, who is pulling away. Vershaw looks close, and Vershaw's going to get a chance to attack John Bennett. They will make their way to turn 1 and will go down towards Remus, and that will be the overtaking opportunity for the remaining drivers in the field.
And they head up through turns 2 and 3. Hopefully they'll get through safe and sound this time. From the field, heading through turn 3 now. They'll play it sensibly, I would have thought, although we've seen a move from Alex Dunn, who's going toe-to-toe with Leo Fornaroli on the exit. There is a yellow flag over at that section. Someone's had a spin, I believe, but thankfully, I think of continue. We'll get more on that in a moment. There is, say, Richard Vershaw going to the outside of John Bennett, heading into turn number 4 at Schlossgold, and he isn't going to be able to make it through there. The yellow flag is still waving, so I reckon someone has stopped over at turn 3. We'll get more on that in a moment as we see Dunn and what looks like Gabriele Mini going fight wheel to wheel through there. Mini still to the outside of Dunn as they head through turn 7 and 8. And it looks like Mini's got the high ground this time as he heads through.
He's got his foot down. Yeah, absolutely brilliant stuff. Let's see whether he can control it. Yeah, he's been able to do so, and the safety car's deployed.
Oh, great. Who's that for? That is for, I think, no, Kushmani.
Oh, Beganovic.
It's Beganovic.
Oh, no, never mind. Beganovic.
Got there in the end.
Oh, yeah. So, no, the reason why I thought it was Kushmani was because on my screen he did a 2,123 second sector 1. That's just glitched.
That is timing 71 for you. Okay, Beganovic walking away then from the car driver who is chasing form. Of course, he had a brilliant start to the weekend with FP1, getting that opportunity, but we lost Beganovic earlier on, and that was down at Remus, so he causes another safety car in this contest. So we got going, and we're immediately behind the safety car once again. So the safety car will lead us through that part of the circuit, and the field will be back under controlled pace. Marty was struggling with tyre temperature, so he had to weave quite a bit on those straights. But your order after that one is Dirksen, Marty, Stanek, Cordial still in fourth, Bennett stayed ahead in fifth, then it's Vershaw, Fornaroli, Mini and Dunn, as we take a look at a replay of what happened to Dino Beganovic.
This is going to be from one of the Red Bull livery cars. I couldn't see who that was, but it might have been Ollie Goethe that tangled with Dino Beganovic at turn 3. Goethe down the order as well. And yeah, that's another race to forget there for High Tech. Both cars out.
It was indeed Oliver Goethe, and he says on the radio that he had contact with Dino Beganovic. Well, Remus for Formula 2, it's produced some brilliant moments, including a triple overtake from Artem Markolov in the past, but it's definitely not going to be remembered for the right reasons this year, Richie. It's causing all of the issues, unfortunately, as Beganovic says, great job, so I think we can understand his disappointment with that moment as he runs away.
So, will this mean the F1 begins later than scheduled? Or
no.
Will start on time?
No, I think they'll try and get it on done on time, unless there's any like track inspections that need to be done following this F2 event. I'm trying to keep on tabs with the time, but they're taking the time away from the graphic on their side. So a 5-second time penalty for Alex Dunn for a false start, and I don't think he can have a leg to stand on with that.
Can't argue up against that one. I think we've got 27 minutes, according to Timing 71, that remains in this contest at the moment. So it will be a race that has got another safety car, as we mentioned. Cordial, though. Richie, we mentioned we were discussing it quite a bit before we went on air. We had a lot of shocks in there. Cordial, absolutely one of them. He starts decently for both races, the sprint and the feature. And in case there's a bit of chaos between the top three, there's a huge opportunity for Cordial to try capitalize if he can remain in that place.
Definitely, and I think, honestly, you know what? I do talk a lot about Cordial and say he shouldn't be in F2. I still don't think he should, but I'll give him one thing. If he's put in a position where he's in the top 5 or top 3, he does a decent job at staying there. He's got that experience. He can hold position. So I'll give him the benefit of the doubt here. If he is in the top 4 now, which he is, I think he'll stay in the top 6 because he's good at just sticking to his position. So I think he's got a chance here. Bennett as well. I don't think that'll go too well, considering he dropped 6 places on the start. But you never know. Once he gets into, racing conditions, maybe a bit of clean air as the gaps increase, he could also be on for a decent spot. But I think for Bennett, anything higher than 17th is good for him.
Yeah, I think that is fair to say. Right, we are getting and preparing for another safety car restart. Dirksen has done well so far, and he gets Marty to slow down, then gets his foot down, and he will bring us into turn 9 and 10 in the lead once again. But can he pull away and keep the distance through the final few corners? Stanek is going to try and remain close with Pepe Marty. Let's see whether we get any changes this time around, and that's also a good restart, we have to say, from Amory Cordial in 4th position. Goethe close to the gravel at the moment, so Cordial's dropped down a little actually off the final corner, so not as great for him there. He'll close back in into turn 1. Marty will have to look in his mirrors rather than attacking ahead as we will approach Remus once again for the first time under this new safety car restart, and Stanek will get close, but I think he'll have to just slot in behind unless it's a late dive bomb, and he will stay in behind. What about Fornaroli? He's defending quite a bit from Gabriele Mini, and you've got Alex Stern who is putting his nose in there also, Tom.
Yeah, and Dunn, he has to get on with it. He knows he's got that penalty hanging over him, so he's got nothing to lose now. He's outside the points paying positions anyway, is Alex, so he will want to get on with it. But Dirksen, once again, super restart ahead of Marty and Stanek as they head through turn 4 once more. Cordial running in 4th position in the Rodin car, and it's John Bennett for sure, Fornaroli and Mini inside the points. I just hope we do actually get some action when the DRS has been enabled. I can say that Marty's just outside of DRS range from Dirksen now that Stanek is on the tail of him, so we could well expect to see a Pepe Marty train in a moment.
That could definitely be the case, Richie. It has been a good restart so far as we take a look further back, and that is Villa Gomez trying to attack Esterson, and Villa Gomez dipping a tyre into the gravel.
Yeah, you could see there a bit hesitant to turn on, and unfortunately ran a bit wide with some understeer, and he's now under pressure from Keen Shields. Not often we say that here in Formula 2 as they head their way back up to turn 1. And let's see what happens down to turn 3. Of course, that DRS has been broken comfortably here by Joshua Dirksen, and more moves are happening further back there. Alex Dunn under pressure here, I think, from Martins as they head their way down towards turn number 3. Ascend there from Victor Martins, looking to make the move. Slight bit of contact nearly. Through goes one, through goes a second car. That will be Sebastian Montoya looking to go side by side down towards Schoskol at turn 4. Let's see who's going to make a move. Will it be Montoya looking to make 2 moves down the back of one? Tracy's going to go to the outside here at Martins. Into the braking zone. Martins broke later there. Gets back up into P8, and then you can see Dunn looking to make that move once again around the outside.
Yep, absolutely. Can Dunn do it? Can he keep his foot in? He knows he has the penalty. He knows he has to be brave, and he's going to be forced all the way to the curb. He had to back out of that one. But it was Victor Martins and Alex Dunn, those two drivers, who get on very well, I think it is fair to say, after what's happened recently between those two. And now you've got Ritomo Miata as well trying to attack. Alex Dunn is having to look in the mirrors, left and right. And Alex Dunn, our championship leader, finding himself in major trouble at the moment with the penalty and also losing plenty of places, Tom.
Yeah, and he's going to have to go defensive here with Miata and the trident of Max Esterson, who's recovered after a really disappointing start. He's running in 13th position, is Esterson, to head through turn 1 once more on the 10th lap. We've got around about, I think, 22 and a half minutes remaining in this race, so we'll keep on tabs with the time as it takes down. But so far, Martin defending from Montoya is about to go through into the final point, go into 9th position. It'll be no points are offered for this one in a sprint race, but Montoya is on the move.
So that'll be a place gained. We have Martins heading backwards, Montoya moves up, and that'll be 9th position for Sebastian Montoya. Prema running 8th and 9th. At this stage, Pepe Marti has got the gap to 1.1 second, so it is closed in between himself and Joshua Dirksen at the front of the field. Those are your top two making their way through. Stanek remaining close, and you've got Cordial and Bennett also doing well. Great to see Bennett getting into some momentum as well. The start for the start, Richie, was always going to be challenging for John Bennett, but now he's going to use a bit of his experience from GB3 from last year and just try and stick and wait for any opportunities that come.
Definitely. I mean, at the moment he's got a good 6/10 gap over Verschoor. He's got 4/10, forward to Amory Cordial. There could be an opportunity here for a higher than 5th for John Bennett if this next couple of laps go to plan as they all head their way out of turn 1. Here is Richard Verschoor in P6 at the moment. Of course, multi-race winner here in FIA Formula 2. I think was looking for a victory either last year or the year before, but had a spin exiting out of turn 1 after a safety car, and unfortunately that was no win or no points on the cards for him then. I think even today a win would be a bit of a struggle, but you never know what can happen here in Formula 2. As we can see there, though, Omi, Marty's brought that gap now just to over a second. Another couple of corners, it could be a DRS battle between P1 and P2.
Could be the fight that we want to the front of the field. The two who dueled it out on the last lap at the Sakir International Circuit a few months ago could be about to do it here at the Red Bull Ring in a few moments' time. You've got also Mini really trying to attack Fornaroli. And we were discussing yesterday, Tom, it is really great to be able to watch and really great to be able to see that Mini's back up there for Prema, who've had an absolutely terrible season so far. Better than, of course, what they've had in Formula 3, but they are still 7th in the championship, and by their standards, that's not what you want. Villagomez and Esterson were battling. Esterson finds himself just tucking in behind, and now Pepe Marti, who set the fastest lap of the race, is inside 1 second.
Yeah, that's very important for Marty, not only to go after Dirksen, but to fend off Stanek and those behind. Now he can get on with it and get onto the rear of Dirksen. I don't know how well Dirksen's looked after his tyres on the restart. I'd imagine they've had to push on the first lap of the restart to get out of that DRS range, but now it seems like he may have pushed them a little bit too much too soon. And Marty, well, he can just go after him with the DRS open every straight they come.
Yep. He's going to get that opportunity as we take a look at the final points paying positions. Maney's got a safety car infringement. That is under investigation at the moment. But now we've got a train at the front of the field. A very interesting train, which is definitely going to see quite a lot of battles. Talking about battles, that's a pass for Shields. And he's getting past Esterson with Goethe waiting for his chance as well. So 13th down to 16th. They're all battling and squabbling away further back, Richie.
Indeed, and this is also a big moment here for Joshua Dirksen. As we can see, 19 minutes remaining. It's a big moment for Dirksen because he hasn't scored points, I believe, since Bahrain, where he only taken one away from the feature race. I think he took a win in Melbourne for the opening round of the season. Now he's looking to try and get another win here for his second time in 2025 and for his third point scoring finish here. So lots of pressure on for him. Marty, I believe he's sitting in P7 in the standings, was really up, near the front, but had a couple of poor rounds in Imola and Monaco, and now sees himself on only 49 points, but only 40 points back from P1 being Alex Dunn, who's not having the best round at the moment. Has scored points in every race, bar the two in Melbourne, and then the sprint race back in Bahrain.
Talking about Alex Dunn, if you are synced up with us, we're on board with the Irish driver, getting closer to his rival at the moment. Amory Cordial setting the fastest lap of the race. Can Dunn get past Victor Martins? You bet he was going to send it up the inside. It's a late lunge, but it's going to see him run out wide, and we're going to see these two. One wheel to wheel only for a moment, though, until Martins takes back the position. Dunn places the car on the outside. He'll try send it around the outside, but you're not going to be able to see that from the Irish driver. Martins will always get his elbows out in a situation like that, Tom, and these two stay in positions.
Yeah, we're keeping it clean this time, Martin and Dunn, as they go into the Jochen Ring curve that they're heading through. And Marty's still crucially within 1 second of Dirksen, keeping himself within DRS range. It's a matter of time before he decides to go for it. The team will tell him about how much time there is left in this one. There is around about 17.5 minutes still to go, so there's plenty of time for things to still change. And the last thing that Marty and Stanek will want is another safety car period, which would mean less chances for them to go after Dirksen as the clock continues to tick down.
Here we go. Opportunity. Dunn places the car on the outside line. He will try and get the cutback. He'll try and get better traction and have an opportunity to get past the Williams Jr. directly ahead. We've got the rear wing open for Alex Dunn. He's getting closer with every meter that we run down towards turn 4, and he will try and be late on the brakes. Can he position the car perfectly once again to try and get the cutback? It will be better traction of the corner. Martins will be out wide. Dunn will find himself on the outside line. It will be wheel to wheel between these two drivers. Is Dunn going to feel brave? Is he going to be able to use the momentum? Martins will take him right over to the white line, and Victor Martins will stay ahead. Nice battle developing between these two drivers, and critically, Richie, it's a clean one.
It certainly is, and also this helps Dunn quite a lot here in the terms of getting that position, because that gap to Montoya is constantly increasing for Victor Martins. So of course next time round, once again no DRS for the ART as they head their way out of the final corner, back down towards turn 1 we go. Once again, of course, it's still the same top 9 as it has been since the restart. Of course, Dirksen ahead of Martin Stanek for the top 3 in that podium spot, but let's see what happens up towards turn 3. Once again, of course, Dirksen not going to be under any pressure. Let's have a look whereabouts Alex Dunn is, and I don't think he's quite got the exit he would have wanted, but he's going to go for the Sendomi.
He's going to go for it down the inside, and they will meet on the apex, and Victor Martins will have to run off the road. It was always going to get tight, and there we go. So, you've got now the two teammates about to run wheel to wheel as we make our way down towards the braking zone. Miata versus Martins, the ARTs, nothing separating them at this stage, and Victor Martins will get his elbows out. So we're seeing quite a lot of aggressive driving further back. Cordial is really close. He was running 2/10 to the back of Stanek. I wouldn't be surprised if Cordial sends a lunge soon, because he is really following closely and has some great pace.
This is an on-board of Dunn's overtake on Martin. It felt a bit too much, by the way. Not the fact he sent it, but you've got to leave room. You've got to leave room there. And I don't think Dunn was alongside enough to be warranted, well, to just simply push Martin out wide like that. So I wouldn't be at all surprised if the stewards got involved in that. It looked more like Dunn forced Martin off the circuit.
Yep. Wonder whether anything will come of that one. I was mentioning Amri Cordial looks quick. He's got the fastest lap of the race, and he is trying his absolute best to close in. It is one of those Formula 2 races where you've got this train and you're waiting for it to boil over a little bit. Cordial takes the wide line and he gets the better traction, or at least attempts to get the better traction. But meanwhile, Pepe Marti, this is one of the closest he's been so far to the race lead. Dirksen knows it because he is trying to break the slipstream, and Pepe Marti is now right on the back. So this is the moment that he chooses to pounce, and there's a lockup. There's a lockup for Roman Stanek, and Cordial is getting invited with every meter that he runs to the back of that Invicta car. Mini versus Fornaroli goes on. This race now starting to come alive a little bit, Rishi.
Indeed, and I think Cordial could be over for a podium because he's a lot quicker than Stanek, has the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, could certainly be looking for a P3 here this afternoon. Of course, Marty, he's going to be applying pressure under Dirksen, and we can see Marty saying, mate, it's all the time he's weaving. Of course, that is on about Joshua Dirksen, a lot of weaving down towards turn 4, but of course just trying to break that toe at every opportunity to keep himself in the lead. Of course he knows he's quick, he knows he's got a quick car, but with DRS behind, there's nothing you can possibly do apart from defend aggressively. So let's see what happens here up to turn 3. If Marty's close enough, does he stay behind or go for an early pass?
Let's find out. The Red Bull Junior getting closer to the lead. This is the best opportunity that Pepe Marti has had, and Dirksen defends it. Marti tries to get the cutback. Will it be a battle down towards turn 4 because the DRS will be open once again for the Campos driver? Dirksen knows he has to defend. These two who battled so hard in Bahrain for the win, battling once again. Marti late on the brakes into the braking zone, and Pepe Marti will sweep around the outside to take P1 here in Austria. A great move from Pepe Marti, as he propels himself to P1. Dirksen with a late lunge. Dirksen makes the move and retakes the lead, but is out wide and is going to still keep it on the road. And Dirksen with the latest of late lunges to take P1 once again.
That was beautiful stuff from Josh Dirksen. It's come back on the inside at turn 6 on Pepe Marti. Marti did not see that coming whatsoever. Dirksen had to surprise him going through there. That was scintillating. So that's the kind of battle we've been after for some time. But it's game on again for the win. In terms of time, there's plenty of time for this battle to continue all the way to the end. There are 11 laps at most to go.
Yep, we still got time, and Amri Cordial has definitely still got time to try and attack and get this podium spot. Well, what a Formula 2 race this is. It has been set up brilliantly for a fantastic fight all the way to the end. This time, Pepe Marti sends it up the inside into Remus. He does not wait, and it means Dirksen is forced out wide, and Roman Stanek is going to get the chance. He now opens the DRS. Dirksen's just getting the toe. He doesn't have DRS at all off Pepe Marti, but the toe will be enough to pull alongside, and he's going to try and make the move around the outside. He'll watch Pepe Marti run deep, and they will once again try and battle down towards the next corner, which will be turn number 6 of this racetrack. Does Dirksen catch Pepe Marti out again? This time there's not an opportunity, because Marti critically, Richie, places the car in the middle.
Yep, he knew that Dirksen would look for it again. I think Dirksen probably thought about it, but of course Marti moved over, said no thank you. You're going to have to go for it down towards turn 3 or turn 4. Stanek for a moment was looking about a move, but I think he just played it safe. Would rather get a podium and sit back than fight and risk his race. When his replay into turn 6, Marti left the door open, didn't have a clue that Dirksen was going to send it. I don't think Dirksen even thought he was going to send it until he got on the brakes. But that was a superb move by Joshua Dirksen. Here's Marti into turn 3. Brakes really, really deep there. And in the end, it works. He's still got the DRS, and he kept ahead of Joshua Dirksen.
You see a bit of that DRS chicken quite a few times as well. You have 3 detection points for 3 DRS zones around the Red Bull ring, and Dirksen is back up close to Pepe Marti, which means he'll get a chance this time to be the attacker down towards turn 4. He'll get the rear wing open. It might need to be a late lunge from there though if he is to have a go this time around. Cordial will be getting impatient at some point, but he is sitting back strategically at the moment on the back of Stanek. Those two are just waiting for this one to boil over, but now it's Dirksen's job to make sure that he does not let Pepe Marti run away with this, and Pepe Marti will be trying to do exactly that though. What a race this is turning out to be. We had, of course, the start of the race, which was quite dramatic. We had the red flag, and ever since then it was a bit of a lull period, and now it's coming alive with this amazing fight at the front. Bennett and Cordial are definitely showing a bit of their talent as well in this race, so it's been a great race overall for quite a few of these drivers contending at the front. Still though, we have time remaining in this. We have just under 10 minutes to go.
Over the line they come then. Marti, Dirksen, Stanek and Cordial. What a brilliant job. What a show they've put on throughout this sprint race here after the red flag we had earlier. Marti up from 5th to the lead. And, well, it's been a race to forget for Alex Dunn, it has to be said, with a poor getaway. And, of course, that false start, giving that 5-second time penalty. There's still that investigation hanging over him involving the incident with Martin, where he may have been perceived, but forced him off the circuit. Dirksen's still right on Marti's tail, but it feels to me like Marti's got the high ground with the tyres that he was able to save for the moment when he got by Dirksen a few laps ago.
Yeah, I'd say it definitely feels that way. He's staying with him due to the 3 DRS zones you have, so he loses time, but then he's able to close it back in, back to the 3/10 range. But you need to be much more closer, heading out of the final corner to have a chance. So he'll need to be doing that, but he's dropping down to 6/10. So Dirksen is just right now trying his absolute best to keep the pressure on, but is losing time due to the tyres that are fading away from him at the moment. Right now, as we bring it down into turn number 9, into turn number 10, the Red Bull Mobile, of course, and you've got a Red Bull Junior out in front, leading the way. Will it be the case, though, all the way till the checkered flag in this contest as we come out of the final corner, run down the start-finish straight, and we get ready to tick on to lap number 21. It's 6/10 of a second. It's all about the gap heading out of that final corner and heading down towards turn 1 in terms of whether Dirksen will get a shot, whether he will get a chance, and and he will know that Pepe Marti will do his all to defend, so it has to be more than just a little bit of a chance. He needs to have a proper opportunity to be able to go alongside and possibly even ahead.
Yep, he certainly does, and you can see there probably would have been a send if it was somebody else or if it was on the last lap by Dirksen, but he just held back. He knows he's at the moment got the pace just to stick behind, and then of course later in the race can go for a send, can go for a move to try and jump up into the lead. But we could see there as well, once again, Stanek under a lot of pressure from Amaury Cordeel, and like I said at the safety car restart, if he's in a position where he is now in the top 5, he can stay there quite comfortably. We can see the driver's standings for sure will be matching points with Alex Dunn unless he can make another position in this race. So the championship starting to heat up here. Of course, I think it was Lindblad sitting in P3 on 79 points.
It was.
Well, he's not going to get any here today, is he? Tomorrow, it's a big day for Lindblad, and also for our top 2 as well.
Yep, tomorrow is a big day indeed. Richard Verschoor, who's come across the line to win twice around this circuit. The first one was a race which he was disqualified from, though. He was able to get redemption a year later in 2023. The race before that, the sprint race that year, he crashed out of turn 1 in the wet conditions on a safety car restart. He's had it all around this Red Bull Ring circuit, and in his most likely his last year of Formula 2, he wants to add, he wants to get some more memories from this place, and he's trying his best to get a great exit to be able to attack the Van Amersfoort that is ahead. He of course was a winner with Van Amersfoort. That was the team that he was driving with in that 2023 season. Right now he's trying to overtake them, and right now he can't overtake them. The ART's wheel to wheel, and Victor Martins stays ahead of the Japanese driver Rotoma Miata for the moment. So that's an interesting fight that still goes on till this point.
Not long left in this one. As we see Verschoor holding up Mini and Fornaroli. He's been stuck behind Bennett for some time now. Well, that's because Bennett has been able to remain in the DRS range of Amaury Cordeel, who is on course for one of his best results. He's still yet to achieve a podium in Formula 2. Is Cordeel. We'll see if he can actually go and get there. He's got the fast up of the race, believe it or not, has Cordeel. Yeah. As the time ticks down, we've got round about 5, just under 6 minutes to go, and we've got 6 laps left. I reckon we could well get the full race distance completed here, Romy.
And that's absolutely unbelievable as well. We were thinking about how many laps we would get, but we've completely passed it, and we are racing towards the checkered flag very, very quickly. Sebastian Montoya trying to race his way down into the points at the moment as he closes in onto the back of the Invicta driver of Leonardo Fornaroli. As we now look down to the 5 minutes that we have remaining on the clock, and it is an opportunity. Is Dirksen close enough? He is once again going with the same approach of sitting in behind. I want to look to Miata, I want to look to Martins, because they are still wheel to wheel, and those ARTs are surely going to be getting close to contact with how much wheel to wheel they are having today. And Martins will get his elbows at Miata. It'll be a big moment for him if he's able to beat Martins as well. So definitely an inter-team battle going on down at ART, and we have Carlos saying, let's go Joshua Dirksen, the man who's running in second place, getting the support in the live chat. Let us know in the live chat, who are you supporting and who you think will come out on top by the time that we reach the end of this race and the checkered flag.
Indeed, and looking there at the gap between Stanek and Dirksen, for a moment it was just over a second, so Stanek really starting to get under some pressure. Of course, Cordeel now is relieved of the pressure of Bennett as he is up towards turn 3 replay. Let's see what's happened here then. I'm not sure which moment this was. This is Martins and Miata down towards turn 4. Martins on the right, Miata on the left hand side. Let's see what happens here as they head down to turn 4. Just a nice little battle between the two teammates. And here is Dirksen and Marty once again into turn 3. Cordeel on the back of Stanek. Here is Verschoor and Bennett. Of course, if Verschoor can take P5 here this afternoon, then he will be the championship leader heading into tomorrow. So a big moment here for Richard Verschoor. Will look to the outside line. Down towards turn 4 at Slash Gold. Will Bennett defend? I think he backs out and says, you know what? For sure, go for it, have the position, but he goes wide, he goes deep, and Bennett, Omi, looking to go around the outside.
So he took the position, he may lose it immediately. They're nearly banging wheels, and Verschoor will control it into turn 6 and will retake that place. So it's Verschoor, and then it's Bennett. Mini's in 7th, Fornaroli's in 8th, Montoya is in 9th, and they are absolutely close together. This battle is about to erupt in the final stages of this race as well. But as it stands, Vershaw no longer tied. He's 1 point clear of his nearest rival for the title, that is Alex Dunn at the moment. And there will be, of course, no point scoring for Dunn, for Lindblad, for Crawford, and also, of course, for Luke Browning as well. Leonardo Fornaroli is trying to cling on to said points, and he is the next driver who comes in the championship in 6th. And then, after that, we get down to P7, and the driver in P7 is our championship leader, Pepe Marti, getting himself some decent points for his championship hopes as we make our way. Let's see whether we are going to get Gabriele Mini fighting away through on Bennett. Sells the dummy, dives down the inside, can't do it. He backs out of that one late, and they are basically right up to each other's rear wings at the moment with how they arrived into the braking zone of turn 3. Let's see whether Mini can fight her way through on Bennett. A few moments later on, he's going to dive down the inside into turn 4. It's once again a half look, which Bennett will control and will stay ahead.
Nice dicing between Bennett and we've got a team radio from Gabriele Mini. We can't hear what we are wanting to hear. We don't have track audio, unfortunately, which is a bit of a shame. But Marty's still in the lead at the moment by 9/10 over Dirksen as we speak. There are 3 laps to go at the end of this one. Looking at how much time we've got left, I think it's around about 2 minutes to go, judging by the time. So we will get the full race distance completed as we go into the time. Unless when the clock reaches 0, whether that would be the last lap, but I don't think that will be the case. I hope it is the full race distance that gets completed here. Dirksen will most certainly hope it will be the full race distance as he's running out of time to make the move on Marty for the win.
Yep, time is running out at the moment. It's dropped down to 1 second between Dirksen and Marty. But at the same time, he's now going to be coming under real pressure in the battle for second place. Because you're going to get Stanek there, you're going to get Cordial there. And they're going to have a huge opportunity. That huge opportunity also applies to Gabriele Mini in a separate battle. This is between himself and Bennett. As Goethe has cleared the ARTs, he was able to fight a way through on Miata a lap ago. He's been able to clear Martins on this occasion a few moments ago as we take a look and see them all make their way through into the braking zone. Mini had a look, he's still wheel to wheel. Mini is side by side with John Bennett, and is he going to be able to get through? So he's going to place the car on the outside line. Can he keep the momentum going? He's going to try to take the wide line, stand on the power, close to the gravel. They nearly bang wheels and touch to Bennett and Gabriele Mini. Well, he's been here before, and it's going to be another great move from Gabriele Mini. He keeps his footing and he's going to take the place.
Twice he's done that there. Brilliant from Gabriele Mini. You can see further behind Fornaroli looking to make a move but can't quite make that one stick. Into the final corner, turn 10 they go. Back down to turn 1 once more in this race, and the gap between Pepe Marti and Dirksen is over a second. No DRS assistance for him, but we have battles into turn 1. Montoya on Fornaroli. Then we can see Fornaroli nearly taken out. John Bennett through the first corner. A bit wide. A poor exit allows Montoya to get a run up towards turn 3 to possibly jump up into P7, and Alexander Dunn is sitting behind waiting for these two to have a kerfuffle, so maybe he could jump up into that top 8. Into turn 3 we go, a bit deep, a lock up there from Fornaroli and a poor exit from Montoya, but here's the battle for P2, Omi.
Stanek around the outside of Dirksen, who will cover the inside line. Can Stanek try and get the cut back and get the power down to try and attack the AIX man, who will be doing his absolute best to defend at this stage? Stanek will be desperate to get on a Formula 2 podium once more. Cordial in behind will be hoping for fireworks as he tries to do it for the first time in his career. Marty's pulling away. It'll be the battle for second place between Dirksen and Stanek, and also Cordial, that we will be looking for in this last lap. And then you've got Mini, Bennett, Fornaroli, Montoya and Alex Dunn, who was our championship leader coming into this race, just sitting in 10th place at the moment. Let's see what is going to happen on this last lap. Dirksen round the final corner, heading down towards turn 1 and off. Vershaw off the road in the background, but he's luckily got the gap to Mini to control that. We're on to the final lap, and it's so close. Stanek closes in, and if there was a bit more of an opening down at turn 1, he would have sent it, but he knows that he has to wait for this opportunity down towards turn 3. Is he going to be able to make the move? Here on this last lap, he'll be getting closer and closer. Can we see the move come on the last lap? Dirksen defends down the inside, and Cordial is super late on the brakes as Stanek gets the comeback, and Cordial spins. Anne-Marie Cordial, who was chasing a first podium in Formula 2, has spun, and there's going to be a pile-up in a few moments' time as the field comes into him. Mini comes into him, so does Bennett, so does Fornaroli. Dirksen stays ahead of Stanek, and it's been a dramatic day of Formula 2 as Cordial went spinning, and Gabriele Mini went into the side, and that is another dramatic moment
moment. We will hope that they are all okay. The yellow flags are flying. They will let this one continue because the field has already gone past, and it will be Pepe Marti making his way through the final few corners on the last lap. There he is, as we see Dirksen off. Dirksen's off. Dirksen finds himself continuing on. He dipped a tyre into the gravel, and that'll be close. In the battle for second place, Stanek is going to run out of opportunities right at the end of this race. We're through turn number 9. We're through turn number 10. And at the Red Bull ring, it will be a Red Bull Junior who will go to the top step of the podium. Pepe Marti comes across the line to win the sprint race in Formula 2, and it's Dirksen who hangs on up against Stanek. It's Vershaw who goes all the way to P4 after even a mistake on the last lap, and it's going to be super tight between the ARTs, and it'll be Martins in 7th, Miatas in 8th, Montoya got 5th, it was Dunn in 6th, who somehow recovered all the way to 6th after all of that one. What on earth happened on the last lap?
Unbelievable drama right at the very end. Marty taking the win, his second win of the season. Good drive from him ahead of Dirksen and Stanek. But what an absolute disastrous moment for Amri Cordial, who came so close to a podium, dropping it all by himself. And Sky are going to be coming away from the F2 coverage, unfortunately. But there is a mini Fornaroli and Bennett getting out, as well as Cordial. Absolute drama. They've had to cut away for the podium because of the Formula 1 coverage. But that was an unbelievable development on the last lap, right at the very end. But at least we got the whole race distance completed.
That is the main thing, Richie, that we were able to get the full race distance, and that is what we absolutely love. It was a chance. I mean, we were even questioning, would we continue? We were able to continue, and thank God we did. What on earth happened there?
I mean, that was interesting down at turn 3. I mean, I do feel for Cordell, because I thought he would have held on there, but you could just see the Ree went away from him when he went deep, and surprisingly that everybody went into him, because the first car to meet him went past. The others seemed to follow him in, so yeah, not sure there, but it must have been a bit of a blind spot for a couple of drivers.
Yep, quite a blind spot indeed, and well, that was absolutely unbelievable. So just looking at our results and looking at our order, if we take it over to the battle screen. So absolutely ludicrous stuff. So Cordial, Mini, Bennett, Fornaroli, Beganovic, Browning, Lindblad, Megatunif, and Crawford, all not classified and not being able to reach all the way till the end. Maney was a couple of laps down, but that's unbelievable. Shields ended up in 12th. Villa Gomez ended up in 9th. That, I think, tells you how chaotic that Formula 2 race was. I'm just taking a look and to see whether we are able to right now get ourselves to some form of coverage where we can bring you the podium as well. But Sky, of course, going off air. It's understandably so. I think for this occasion, understandably so, they do have to go over to the Formula 1, which is coming up in a few moments' time as well here on JB Motorsports for us. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised in case we have a track inspection. And to be fair, after that incident, Richie, I think F1 would be delayed by 10 minutes or 15. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case.
Yeah, I think it will be, just to make sure everything's sorted and everything's safe, ready for the F1 cars to go out onto circuit. So yeah, probably around 15:15, I think we'll see the Formula 1 begin.
Yeah, definitely going to be quite interesting to see that as well, whether we are able to see any form of running straight away or whether we will be delayed. But we'll of course keep you up to date with that here on JB Motorsports. But we'll bring you of course up to date, and you'll also get some information in the Porsche Super Cup live coverage. That's coming up later for qualifying. It will be recorded as well. We'll bring you the full qualifying so you're up to date with everything that has happened regarding our race. But for now, as we aren't able to get to any broadcasts, unfortunately I don't have the skills that JB does, so I need to ask him for next time I take over. But we can quickly run you through your final results, then we'll get our final thoughts from our punditry team. Pepe Marti ended as a winner. Joshua Dirksen finished in 2nd, Roman Stanek in 3rd, Richard Vershaw in 4th, Montoya in 5th, Dunn in 6th, and then there was Martins and Miata completing the points. Villa Gomez in 9th, Esterson in 10th, Goethe in 11th, Shields in 12th, and then not classified. Well, Maney finished, of course, as well. He finished 2 laps down, though, but technically classified ahead of them, because, of course, Maney was 2 laps down. It's Cordial, Mini, Bennett, Fornaroli. Then we get to Maney on the official classification, who was running, and then Beganovic, Browning, Lindblad, Megatunif, and Crawford. I mean, timing 71 is an absolute mess down there. I can already see timing 71 is an absolute mess due to what on earth happened. But that was incredible. That was incredible. So, there we go. we have reached the end of the Formula 2 race. Richie, I'd love to get your final thoughts from the F2 Sprint, and I don't think you'll be joining us tomorrow, so I'd love to know your thoughts as well ahead of tomorrow's feature race.
I mean, I think there's going to be a lot of chaos tomorrow, that's for sure. We had 2 rather big incidents here today. 4 cars involved in the first and 4 again involved in the second incident. So tomorrow, things will be interesting, but there's going to be a lot of points to play for. So those who are starting a bit further down, such as Lindblad, there's going to be opportunities and they've got to take them at their grasp.
Yeah, absolutely. And Tom, well, that was quite something. We, of course, covered qualifying yesterday and the practice as well. We knew Formula 2 at Austria always does delivers. But Remus, well, that caused quite a bit of issues today, let's just say.
Remus may need to be revised, or drivers may need to have some form of redemption for coming races there. Sorry, that was just a little bit of a punt there. But yeah, there you go. But yeah, it has caught a number of drivers out today. It has been the corner of drama in that sprint race, and I've got some news actually from the Formula 3 race as well, Omi and Richie. Ugo Ugochukwu has received a 10-second time penalty, dropping him from 3rd to 16th. I wonder if that's for the collision or forcing someone off the track at turn 3, possibly.
Have we had any news on Badoa yet? Because I think that's the big one and the most interesting.
I haven't received anything yet, but that's just coming from a friend of mine that's just shared it in a group chat. So yeah, that's Ugochukwu off the podium and Solov taking that final podium position.
Important stuff for his championship. Well, we leave you with Formula 2 drama, we leave you with Formula 3 news, and keep an eye on our Porsche Super Cup coverage. Later on today, that's where we're going to have live updates for you in terms of any news that comes from either Formula 2 or either Formula 3 and also Formula 1, because that's the next thing that is coming up in a few moments time. We'll be live for qualifying, and make sure to join us then to see who's going to take pole position. But from Formula 2, it's been absolutely drama in this Formula 2 sprint race. We will see you tomorrow for the main race on Grand Prix Sunday, the feature. We'll see you then. Goodbye.